Right, very quickly we're going to do a quick macro example. The question here is evaluate an increase in government spending as a means of promoting growth in the economy. Okay, analysis easy-ish. Government spending, source of aggregate demand increases, closes the output gap in the economy, helps to promote real income and real output. Okay, sorts of things you'll be looking at in evaluation are these sorts of things. Well, if we're going to boost aggregate demand, hadn't we better know how big that output gap is that we're trying to fill? Hadn't we better know how big the multiplier is? Otherwise, we might overstimulate and put too much aggregate demand into the economy. How long is the time lag? The economy might have moved on by the time the policy has its full effect. Danger we might cause inflation. How high is inflation at the moment? Increasing government spending, national debt's going to go up. We're going to have to borrow more. Do we know how big that national debt is? And also, when we look at the demand side of a macroeconomy, let's always have in mind to the supply side. Okay, so these are the sorts of stats that you should have in your mind when you go into the macro exam in particular. Just say that the output gap in the economy, estimated by the Bank of England this quarter as being approximately 0. In other words, we're actually quite close to full capacity of the economy at the moment. Multiplier, no one can know how big the multiplier is. We can only estimate it. But sort of typical estimates I've seen are in the range of 1.4 to 1.7, something like that. It's not huge, but our economy has a lot of leakages. Yeah? So it's not surprising, because we import a lot, for example. It's not surprising, but actually the multiplier should be quite small. And time lag about sort of 18 to 24 months before the multiplier works its way fully through the economy. So there is a danger of getting the policy wrong, based on that lengthy time lag. Inflation is still at 6.7%, which is way above the 2% target. Might get you thinking, can we really be recommending stimulating demand in the economy when actually the output gap is around about 0 and we have an inflationary problem to deal with? And the national debt is round about 100% of GDP. Means if the government were to seize everything that was produced in the economy for an entire year, that would just about pay back the accumulated debt from the borrowings of governments through the ages. That's quite mind-blowing. And again, that casts doubt on whether we can actually afford to increase government spending to promote the growth of the economy. Other thing to bear in mind is that our supply side of the economy has got big problems. You would go into the exam knowing that actually the trend growth rate in the UK has been quite low for the last few years. We seem to have gone to a trend growth rate of only about sort of 1.25%, something like that. We have a problem with labour productivity. The average worker in the UK economy produces about 30% less than the average worker in the US. For example, we've got a productivity problem, we've got a participation problem. Lots of people who could be working actually choose not to take part in the labour market. That all limits, the capacity of the economy. And it means that our economy is less well placed to cope with an increase in aggregate demand without causing inflation. Knowing that stuff is absolute gold dust when you go into the exam room. The evaluation you can do on the back of it is going to take your answers to a higher level. So really do step it up with learning your stuff on real-world data in the run-up to the exams, in particular in macroeconomics.